What do you think of the future of crypto? I mean, obviously, you must have complicated feelings since you ran a crypto company. You're in jail because of it, but you know a lot about the topic. You sort of feel like things are moving very fast on crypto. Do you think they're moving in a good direction? I know it's sort of weird to ask you this question, but I can't resist.
No, hopefully is what I would say. You know, you look at what the Trump administration said, you know, going into office, there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of things that, you know, were very different from the stance that the Biden administration took, that you know, Gensler and the SEC took. Obviously, the follow through is what matters. And that's the stage that we're at now, which is what will come of this. And I mean, not surprisingly, like changing the guard helps, but financial regulators, they're big, giant bureaucracies in the federal government. They're not used to changing overnight. And they have been playing a really obstructive role for, you know, a decade in crypto. You know, the US, it's 30% of the world's finance. It's about 5% of the world's crypto. And the reason it's entirely regulatory, it's just the US was unique in its difficulty to work with. So I think the big question is, will, you know, when rubber meets the road, like, will the administration do what needs to be done and figure out how to do it?
Yes, we can. For you, I'll do it. It's special. Yeah? Just for you. Come on, let's go. Oh, let's go. Thank you so much. Go. You go first. Let's do it. So this is the main room of the stock exchange.
And this is where you trade the $500 million to $1 billion of stock every single day.
Exactly.
What is that even like? How are you getting that much volume and that much money to?
In order for somebody to trust you enough to give you that much stock, it's a big deal. It's taken years and years like that. So there's different order flow that comes down to us. We have customers, and then we're also trading the S&P 500. And so, you know, you'd be amazed that, you know, we trade 1.2 billion shares of stock, dollar notional value of a stock, right? So 1,000 shares of Visa, that's a $400 or $500 stock. That's a lot of money. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So even though it seems like $1 billion, it's actually not that much. They probably trade almost $1 trillion of value here on the floor with the 3,000 plus publicly listed companies. Come into the world here. So in this room, at one point we had 5 rooms like this where we traded stock before technology. But now with all of this, I can send out, you know, 1,000 orders in 5-10 seconds. It used to take a long time as an individual on paper.
Is the bell in here as well?
The bell's over there. Come walk around. It's amazing to be here and when it's quiet like that. That's the bell. So if you think about it, since 1903, the opening bell and the closing bell is a very exclusive ceremony where heads of state, presidents, prime ministers, CEOs of listed companies, CEOs of IPOs, initial public offerings, celebrities and charities ring the opening or closing bell.
What's your last message to the younger generation?
You know what? Surround yourself by people who have what you want. It's really important. And understand that money, it does not buy you happiness. Money buys you freedom. That's all it's about. It doesn't buy you happiness in any way. Money does a funny thing to people. It sets you in a state, whether you have a lot of it or none of it. It can really curate your life. And so just be aware of its value and the dangers of it.
You got amazing advice, sir.
Thank
you so much.
Population needs to understand that in a way that, you know, I grew up in America, so I'm used, like, we're brought up, like, we're number one, we're the rulers of the world, like, and everybody in America has that attitude, and that's why it's such an amazing place to build, right? Because unlike Europe, where in Europe everybody's so afraid to fail, where in America nobody is afraid to fail. Everybody's like, yeah, I just failed big time, man. My company went bust, and it's like time to start. But now I know how to do the next one, right? That's an attitude that we have in America that, you know, is needed.
Attuali, che numeri fanno profitto sia Tether che Bitfinex?
Tether, negli ultimi 2 anni abbiamo fatto un profitto di circa 12 miliardi di dollari su una capitalizzazione di
Profitto
mercato.
vuol dire vero profitto?
Sì.
Wow.
Il conto della serva è questo. Abbiamo ad oggi circa 119 miliardi di dollari in gestione. Più di 100 sono investiti in buoni del tesoro americano. Buoni del tesoro americano rende il 5,5%. 5 miliardi e mezzo l'anno, proprio così, puliti che ti arrivano.
Tutto profitto quello.
Ed è la cosa più sicura che tu possa fare. In azienda siamo 100 persone. La maggior parte delle persone sono compliance, legal, quindi legali, un po' di sviluppatori e investimento, però la parte investimento è molto
100 persone.
Sì.
Pensavo molto di più.
Noi collaboriamo con 180 dipartimenti di polizia nel mondo, in più di 45 paesi diversi. Non c'è nessuna istituzione finanziaria che ha uno spettro di collaborazione così ampio come il nostro. Come mai? Come facciamo a essere così efficienti? Perché la cosa bella della blockchain è il tutto pubblico. Cioè tu puoi utilizzare gli strumenti automatizzati per vedere, tracciare tutte le transazioni e poi effettivamente collaborare con la giustizia. Cioè se tu sei una banca, la polizia viene da te e dice fammi vedere quel bonifico che è andato in un altro stato. Good luck in andare esatto, andare a chiedere non esci più. Invece con il strumento blockchain noi siamo infinitamente più scalabili perché è tutto lì, è indelebile quello che è successo.
Non sono tante le aziende con miliardi di profitto e così pochi dipendenti. Questo è un raro caso di pura scalabilità di un progetto tecnologico, dove più utenti non aumentano la complessità, se non nel reparto legal, appunto. Gli enormi profitti degli ultimi 2 anni sono chiaramente anche dovuti all'aumento dei tassi di interesse della Banca Centrale Americana. In ogni caso, gestire centinaia di miliardi inevitabilmente ti rende qualche miliardo, a prescindere da quali siano i tassi di interesse. E farlo in solamente 100 persone è qualcosa di pazzesco.
Il resto del profitto da dove viene?
Principalmente abbiamo comprato Bitcoin e oro. Diciamo che compriamo Bitcoin e oro con parte dei profitti e quelli si sono aggiunti, hanno moltiplicato i profitti. Noi abbiamo comprato l'oro 4 anni fa, ora da 1800 è passato a 2006.
Ok, quindi vuol dire che i vostri profitti provengono o per i buoni o per i vostri asset da ritorni sugli investimenti.
Esatto.
Al contrario, se dovessero andare male questi investimenti siete molto esposti, giusto?
In realtà noi abbiamo fatto questi 12 miliardi di profitti, mica ce li siamo messi in tasca.
Li avete reinvestiti?
Li abbiamo tenuti nella società. Quindi in realtà lo stablecoin ha una capitalizzazione di mercato di 119 miliardi, ma noi nella società abbiamo 12 miliardi in più. Noi abbiamo un extra buffer se Bitcoin andasse a zero e in questo momento prenderemo 4 miliardi sui 12 che abbiamo di più di quel cuscinetto.
So, I mean, can we really say that this is that bad when you zoom out and look at the big picture? It just doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal. It actually feels a bit healthy after what Bitcoin did into that run. I mean, that was a major run.
Yeah, no, especially if you zoom out and you look at a monthly chart. I mean, basically, if you look at this 7-month leg up, really all this is so far is a 38% Fibonacci retracement.
Which is nothing. That's healthy. Like, that's good.
Yeah. That's why, like in my YouTube video I posted yesterday, I talk about how I start by looking at the larger time frames. And if you look at the monthly and the weekly, and obviously, I mean, this can shift on a dime, but so far, I mean, we moved so quickly, you know, from 25K to 70K that market needs a pullback. And I think, you know, we did have some euphoria there, especially with like the meme stuff. And, you know, when the market gets overheated, the market likes to cause people pain and liquidate stops and things like that. And that's what I think this is. I don't think that this is a shift into like an extended bear market. I could be wrong, but I'm just not seeing that yet.
For me, still the most likely outcome is more consolidation, a breakout in the middle of this month into Christmas, and then probably a pullback once again to the $100,000 area. I don't think we're going to sustain a 100K break this year, but next year, 120, 125, probably in Q1 is definitely likely. Here is the weekly chart.
I guess the third thing, having convinced everyone that we had to deliver a digital euro, I take a little bit of pride.
How does a typical day for you look like?
It's getting up early. I usually get up at around 5:30 or 6. I do a little bit of gym at home, and then I do some reading and preparing and looking at the briefings I have for the day or for the following day. And then it depends. Either I'm in Frankfurt, which is the where the headquarters is located, and I go to the office and I have various meetings, make some decisions. Or if I'm abroad, either I have meetings with local authorities, like, you know, if I'm in Italy, I would meet with the governor of the Central Bank of Italy, Fabio Panetta. I would probably meet with the finance minister of Italy and maybe with the prime minister. And I would talk to people in the business community. Hopefully, I would talk to women and young people. That's usually the components that I like to put together.
I think the scaling solutions, I think we see that, of course, in terms of bridging and in terms of user experience. If you used Ethereum before, it's of course very convenient because you can use the same wallet, same addresses, and this has many benefits compared to a completely new blockchain. But on the other hand, of course, this also comes with certain downsides. So if you didn't like the user experience with Ethereum, you will also not like the user experience with the scaling solutions because it's very similar. Right. I think in general, we see that the scaling solutions, I think we consider them to be very promising. We also run certain of our technology stack on scaling solutions.
We think there, if there is like a big change in how you can write software, which AI is probably the biggest change we've ever had, yes, that's going to produce things. And we bet that all day, all the time, every day. And I think that's also the kind of value of being able to evolve the firm is people who knew smartphone network effects may not be the ones who really get AI, may not be the ones who really get crypto, et cetera.
I know Mark is spending a bunch of time in AI right now.
Yeah.
Talk about the AI strategy or how you're approaching AI in terms of there's both how you think about it from an investing perspective, but also does it change things at the firm more broadly?
Yeah, well, it does change things at the firm broadly. From an investing perspective, it's kind of like, oh my God, we have non-deterministic computing. Holy cow. It's a whole, every problem we couldn't solve with deterministic computing is now for grabs.
Yeah.
And that's we've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's great to have no worries and to relax and just to relax and to just do things that most people don't have time to do. I like to run, and I like to, when it gets warm here in Salt Lake City, I pick the fruit from the trees all over the place. You have a lot of free time, just a lot of you can. And I get in a regimented schedule too, which helps your health. And I do things that I want to do. That's what wealth is about. It's not about being, at least to me, it's not like living spectacularly. It's living comfortably and worries free. So I'm glad I don't have any worries out there.
Doing all this immigration stuff, immigrant invasions all over the place. There's very few places that actually have a culture much anymore. It's kind of sad that my daughter still doesn't have her passport and hasn't seen a lot of places. I'm gonna try to take her quickly to as many places as I can before they're all gone. Like Japan, for example, still has a culture of its own. So I'll take her there before they're almost gonna be gone. They're not reproducing. Europe is not Europe anymore. It's basically like going to Bangladesh or India and places like France. England, definitely London, place like that is not, is not what it used to be. It used to be full of British people. Now it's not. Canada, forget about it. It's all changing. US as well. Not that either of those ever really had much of a culture, but they had a bit. And, but there's still a few places left. Like Mexico is actually pretty good. Most of Mexico is still mostly Mexican. Which, it's kind of interesting, right? Like I'm against governments and nation states, but I'm totally fine in being in a place where everyone's sort of the same, whatever they are. And actually, I really love the Mexican culture. It's actually super awesome. You have places like Thailand as well. It still has its own culture. It's one place that's never been taken over. But the world's gonna be very different in 20 or 30 years, and even in 10 years. So hopefully at least my daughter gets to see some of it before everyone gets killed and everyone changes. But anyway, going back to this document, they also want to change public policy ethical barriers, which is interesting.
Molte persone che sono nella lista dei miliardari di Forbes. Che calcoli fanno? Sono corretti? Ti senti giustamente messo là dentro? Non vorresti esserci? Sarebbe meglio non esserci?
Io sono così, guido ancora la mia vecchia macchina del 2015. Vorrei non esserci, o comunque non sono interessato, sono ancora legato alle mie radici di ragazzo di campagna. Io non ho mai condiviso quante quote ho di Tether e di Bitfinex, quindi non so che calcoli facciano, però secondo me fanno un'approssimazione per la posizione che tu hai nell'azienda tecnologia pensano che la capitalizzazione di mercato dello stablecoin sia necessariamente proporzionale alla valutazione dell'azienda. Secondo me può essere anche sensato, quello più o meno quanto ci hanno valutato. Alla fine, finché non vendi le quote...
Io li chiamo soldi dei monopoli. Non ti sei mai messo di notte a dire quanto valgo in tutto?
Per me ci sono cose molto più interessanti. Valgo in base a quello che posso creare. Ogni secondo che ho a disposizione della giornata è tiro fuori un altro progetto, un'altra idea, e infatti poi mi spareranno in azienda per questo.
Non hai mai venduto niente? Un po' avrà venduto di quote, di cripto.
Ma giusto per
Quanto
pagare
basta?
le spese. Sì. Bitcoin e azienda per me è tutto.
Quindi il grosso del patrimonio di Paolo è bloccato nelle aziende, Bitfinex, Tether e probabilmente altri progetti in cui ha investito.
Utilizzi le cripto in che modo? Magari essendo un super user, fai delle cose che gli altri non fanno. Mi hai comprato qualcosa di gigantesco in cripto?
Siamo a Lugano. In Lugano abbiamo creato il Plan B. Plan B come termine a me piace molto perché secondo me è veramente importante avere sistemi resilienti e avere un'opzione B. Tutta la tecnologia che abbiamo oggi a disposizione, che usiamo, WhatsApp, tutti questi strumenti, appena c'è un problema serio nel mondo smetteranno di funzionare. La tecnologia ci fallirà nel momento in cui ne avremo più bisogno, e tutta la tecnologia è stata costruita per il best case scenario, quando non ci sono catastrofi, quando avremo bisogno di più della tecnologia, quando padri vorranno parlare con i figli perché in situazioni veramente difficili niente funzionerà. Quindi il concetto del Plan B è più un'idea, più un movimento tecnologico che vuole andare a spiegare alle persone che forse la tecnologia deve essere costruita per il worst case scenario. E quindi abbiamo voluto creare questo movimento che ora si sta espandendo anche nel Salvador e in altre parti del mondo. Faremo il Plan B Forum qui a Lugano il 25-26 di ottobre, e come parte dell'iniziativa qui abbiamo anche portato pagamenti in Bitcoin e stablecoin ai commercianti. Sono più di 350 commercianti qua a Lugano.
Spend $100,000 getting debt, and then basically work like a slave your entire life. And most of that money, you know, whenever I watch these videos of these people, like, I can't survive, like I can't even watch a movie or anything. None of them ever bring up how much of their paycheck is stolen from them by the government. That's how indoctrinated they are. Being gets outside of all that stuff, and you actually have to if you want to survive. But it's getting really bad in the West. Half of U.S. tenants can't afford to pay their rent. Here's what's ahead. I know what's ahead. A massive, massive real estate crash, bank collapse. Even had Jerome Powell come out recently. He's like, yeah, there's gonna be more banks collapse. And then that's it.
Just work their ass off for like the last 3 or 4 years for like a college degree, and now you have a job that you hate and you still can't afford life, and you're still fucking miserable, and you can't pay any of your bills, and you can't live in the house that you imagine, and you just feel lied to because you thought that if you just went to college and got a degree you'd be able to afford a house and like things that make you happy, but yet you're still barely can afford groceries or clothes or literally anything that makes you happy at all, and you had to spend the whole entire weekend in your bed because you literally don't have any money to go do anything other, like if you buy food you just can't have an entertainment budget. So I'm just wondering if anyone else is dealing with something like this, or if it's just me, because this shit ain't it.
And so they're coming out with all kinds of stuff now. Like Gen Z, millennials are becoming homeowners thanks to 30K tiny homes on Amazon. Yeah, you'll be in the pod, eating the bugs. They'll give you an Apple Vision Pro and some UBI. And that is the future for a lot of people. It doesn't have to be, if they woke up from it all. But they still believe in the American dream.
Founding something is already hard, and then if you have somebody that you really trust and respect, kind of, you know, sharing half the burden and kind of motivating each other while things get tough, like that would be the perfect scenario. The truth, though, is finding the perfect co-founder is like such a difficult task that oftentimes, like, you know, this is kind of what I mean by some of the insights you gain as an investor, because you see a little bit more examples before trying it yourself. You're like, you know, the best thing is having the perfect co-founder. The thing that often happens is like you have co-founder breakups that just make a company die. And so in my case, it's like I had the idea that I already was committed to pursuing, so I didn't want to wait around for the perfect co-founder, and I was open to finding co-founders within maybe the first like 6 months of starting the company, because there was still a lot of room to kind of like share that in the founding team.